Having lost my parents at a young age, I was taken in by Sam after a car accident. He cared for me in every possible way, protected me, and gave me a unique kind of favoritism. With a young, blossoming heart, I secretly made up my mind to marry him. But years later, when I confessed my long-held feelings for him, he looked at me with disgust and said, "Don't cross the line. I've only ever seen you as a sister." He grew more distant, even quickly finding a girlfriend to make me give up. I offered my blessings voluntarily without making a scene. When his girlfriend got hungry late at night, I would personally cook snacks for her. When they were being lovey-dovey, I would quietly leave the room. I stopped saying that I liked him, and with a broken heart, I let go of all my hopes. I decided to leave his life for good and prepared to marry a wealthy, handsome man. But later, Sam came chasing after me, begging me not to marry someone else, saying that he only blamed himself for not realizing his love sooner. "Roma, Grandma has already met that boy Eric. If you marry him, you won't be wronged. As for continuing your studies, you can discuss it with your fiancé. Your brother is getting married too. Grandma has prepared a new house for you. Move out during this time so you don't disturb your brother and sister-in-law's newlywed life." Grandma's words echoed in my ears as I lowered my gaze and softly replied, "Grandma, I've already found a place to stay. I'll move out within 3 days. Don't worry." Grandma seemed relieved and smiled as she reminded me about tomorrow's blind date. Before hanging up the phone, the butler Mario handed me a glass of water and spoke with concern, "Actually, Sir has always cared deeply for you. I remember the last time you had a stomach ache and were hospitalized. He rushed back to the country, even ignoring a contract worth billions, just to take care of you. And that car accident, he swerved sharply to protect you, willing to get injured himself rather than let you suffer even a scratch. How could he not have feelings for you? If you move out and agree to this arranged marriage without discussing it with him, he might be very upset." Mario's slightly weathered voice stirred my thoughts, carrying me back to 7 years ago. I was an orphan at 15. I accidentally ran in front of Sam's car. Not only did he take me to get checked out, but he also took me in. Since then, I had become the adopted sister of Sam, the crown prince of the capital and the only princess of his household. Some people mocked me, saying I was just a fake princess, a girl whose parents had died. Whenever that happened, he would rush back from wherever he was and teach those bullies a lesson. Then he would gently pat my head. "You're not an orphan. I will always be your family, and you will always be my treasure." After my college entrance exams, when he nearly lost his life, I confessed my love to him directly. I thought we would have a happy ending. I believed he had feelings for me too. But that day, his amber-colored eyes were filled with disappointment and frustration. "Roma, stop this nonsense. I'll always be your brother." I refused to believe he didn't love me. We weren't related by blood, so why couldn't we be together? I kept chasing after him, but it only strained our relationship further and pushed him to quickly find a girlfriend. Mari never liked her and was always more partial to me. He comforted me, saying, "Miss, you've already proposed to him 99 times. Although he's rejected you each time, maybe if you propose one more time, he'll say yes." I thought about Eva's social media post from 2 months ago. That day, Sam's proposal was a success. The floor was covered in Juliet roses, and the man with that cool, refined demeanor held a ring as he stood in her camera frame. Those were my favorite roses, and he was my favorite man. But now, they both belonged to someone else. From that day on, I decided to let go of the man I had loved for 7 years. I used to be too naive. Now that my brother is getting married, I should give him my blessings. Besides, you know I'm an orphan. Having the opportunity to study abroad and change my fate is something I have to cherish. What's more, Grandma's match isn't bad either. The Sam family raised me for many years. Through this marriage, I can both repay their kindness and build a future for myself. Mario looked at me with pain in his eyes, as if he wanted to say something. But I smiled and said, "Mario, this is a good thing. Please keep my departure a secret for now. I will find the right moment to tell my brother myself. Once I finalize the details of the arranged marriage, it will be time for me to leave for good." That night, Sam returned home with Eva and handed me a bracelet. His expression remained indifferent. "Happy birthday," Eva said, stroking the diamond necklace around her neck and smiling at me. "This bracelet was a gift Sam gave me last year. I never wore it, and 2 days ago, he gave me a custom-designed one. So I thought you could have this one. I remember you like Juliet roses, so think of it as me borrowing the flowers to honor the Buddha. Today was my 22nd birthday. Ever since Sam took me in, he had celebrated every one of my birthdays with me. Even if I had made him angry, he would always prepare a surprise for me in advance. He spoiled me endlessly. But ever since my confession, everything had changed. He kept his distance, and even my birthday gift was something left over from his girlfriend. I accepted the gift and forced a smile. Thank you, brother and sister. You're welcome. I'll be your sister-in-law soon, Eva said, turning to wrap her arms around Sam and leaning fully into him. The man who had always maintained his distance from women didn't show a hint of rejection. The woman in his arms invited me with a smile. 3 days from now, Sam will come to my house to discuss the wedding date. Roma, you should come too. You're the little sister he loves most. I heard he even chose your university for you, making sure it was close to home because he couldn't bear to let you go. You should be involved in his wedding plans too. A sharp pain pierced my heart. So, in just 3 days, they would be discussing their wedding. Perfect. It was the same day I planned to leave. He would head toward his happiness, and I would head toward my future. I lowered my gaze and smiled distantly. Congratulations to both of you. But I have something to do that day and won't be able to attend. Sam looked at me. You seem out of it. Are you feeling unwell? I was a little surprised by his concern. Ever since my confession, his care for me had been restrained, as if he were afraid of giving me the wrong impression. This was a rare moment of concern. Eva, however, looked at me with exaggerated pity. She's probably exhausted from not passing the graduate entrance exams. It's hard to get into a good program. Maybe you should lower your standards and try applying to schools in other provinces. With your abilities, you'd get in easily. Before I could respond, Sam frowned. No, that won't do. If she goes to another province, I won't be able to take care of her. If you're feeling overwhelmed, do you want me to arrange for a tutor? No matter how badly we fought, he always thought of me, unwilling to let me go too far away, as if he was worried I'd get hurt beyond his control. I once believed that was love. Now, I'm certain it's just family affection. Chapter 3. My eyelashes trembled slightly. No need for a tutor. Let me take my time with the exams. I'm already 22. I can decide for myself. His expression darkened slightly. Eva glanced at him, then smiled and told me to make sure I got plenty of rest. She hooked her arms around Sam's neck and sweetly whined, "Come on, Sam. If she can't pass the exams, just let her take a break. Why are you pushing her so hard? I'm so tired from shopping today. Carry me upstairs to rest, okay?" Sam said nothing more, picked up Eva in his arms, and walked upstairs without looking back. I stood by the staircase, watching the couple who were so passionately glued to each other. A bitter feeling quickly welled up in my chest. What a perfect match. I lowered my head, staring at the birthday gift in my hands, and made a wish. May Sam have a smooth life and eternal happiness. After closing the door to my room, I began packing my luggage. Having lived in Sam's house for so many years, I had accumulated a lot of things, especially the gifts he had given me, which filled an entire cabinet. I didn't take any of them with me, only the things I used regularly. The next morning, I met Eric for my blind date as planned. Rumor had it he was a notorious playboy who changed girlfriends more often than he changed his clothes. His family had forced him to study abroad in hopes of curbing his bad habits from afar. I saw him lounging on the sofa in a private room, his legs crossed, exuding a laid-back and carefree aura. He was extremely handsome, the textbook image of a rich and handsome man. When he saw me, he didn't seem surprised to know who I was. Casually, he said, "Miss Roma, you're quite beautiful. Just my type." I sat directly across from him and got straight to the point. "If you don't have any objections to me, let's finalize the details of the arranged marriage and discuss our plans to study in London after the wedding." Eric raised an eyebrow and asked teasingly, "A studious, obedient girl?" I answered firmly, "My studies won't interfere with your personal life." A slight frown crossed his face as he asked, "If your husband had an affair, wouldn't you be upset?" I shook my head. This is only a marriage in name. There was a time when Sam's affection had blinded me, but now I understand. As an orphan, if it weren't for the Sam family, I would be homeless. My top priority is to work hard and build a better life for myself. A flicker of an unreadable emotion crossed Eric's gaze, a hint of displeasure, but it was so faint that I couldn't decipher it. "Are you still living with Sam?" he asked. "Move out and live with me instead," I agreed. "I still have some things to pack. Pick me up the day after tomorrow." He smiled, and we began discussing the arrangements for studying in London. He had already prepared everything, but the trip depended on finalizing the marriage between our families first. I was a little surprised. He seemed more eager about the wedding than I was. That evening, Eric drove me home. When I turned around, I saw Sam standing at the boundary between the shadows of night and the glow of the streetlights. His expression was cold and stern, making him look particularly serious. He walked toward me with a displeased expression and asked, "When did you meet Eric?" Sam had always been overly sensitive and vigilant about the people I interacted with, especially men. I didn't want him to know about the arranged marriage just yet, so I brushed it off. We met by chance. His car had a flat tire, and I helped him call for a tow truck. He's just taking me to dinner the day after tomorrow to thank me. Sam's expression softened slightly, as if reassured. He's a playboy with poor character. Don't associate with him anymore. You came back too late today. It's already 11 p.m. Don't do this again. There won't be a next time. The day after tomorrow, I would be gone for good. But I still agreed. Okay. As I walked into the hall, I contemplated how to tell him. I had grown up under his protection and had never truly left him before. He wanted me to stay in the country for my graduate studies, preferably close to him. Finally, I gathered the courage and said, "Brother, you and Eva are getting married soon, so I wanted to." Before I could finish, his brows furrowed deeply, and he cut me off harshly. "Stop it. Don't overstep. My marriage with Eva has nothing to do with you. You don't need to meddle, and there will never be anything between us." I stood frozen in place, my face instantly going pale. I realized then how much pressure my feelings had placed on him. At that moment, Eva appeared at the top of the stairs, gracefully descending in a silk nightgown. "Sam, you're back. I suddenly have a craving for cherry cheesecake, but the housekeeper's already off for the night. Roma, would you mind making it for me?" I had learned how to make this dessert only because Sam liked it. Feeling exhausted, I politely declined. "I'm a little tired. If you'd like, we can order takeout instead." Eva quickly descended the stairs, clinging to Sam's arm as she began to act coquettish. Sam rubbed his temples, his tone revealing his impatience. "Eva rarely craves anything. Just go and make it." Sam had never asked me to cook before, much less to cook late at night when I was tired, and certainly not for someone else. He had always been the one to take care of me. When I had stomach aches, he would spend hours making porridge. And when he feared I'd get bored of it, he'd find different recipes to switch things up. Whenever I offered to help, he would hold down my hands and gently push me out of the kitchen. "Your hands are made for playing the piano, not for cooking." Even now, my hands were still suited for the piano, but this time, he was forcing me to cook for his lover. I pressed my lips together. "I understand." Sam went upstairs to shower, and Eva followed me into the kitchen. As I kneaded the dough, Eva poked at it with her finger and giggled. "Roma, I know you like Sam, but Sam and I are a perfect match. Our family's interests are intertwined, and you're just an orphan with nowhere to go. Without Sam, you would have been living on the streets long ago. Grandma likes me, my grandparents also adore Sam, and our engagement was arranged long ago. He loves me and even brings me home to spend the night. Do you know what that means? We're adults. Sparks fly, and who knows? I might already be carrying his child. For 4 years, he's done everything for you personally, but is he your father? You've held him back for so long, and now you want to keep doing it. How shameless can you be? If you had any conscience, you'd leave this house right now. I'm getting sick of seeing you." My pupils shrank. I had always sensed her hostility toward me, but she had hidden it well until tonight, when she ripped off the mask. "I'm sorry. I'll leave and won't bother you anymore." Eva sneered, "Since that's the case, let me help you see the gap between us." Before I could react, she intentionally spilled the pot of boiling water onto her hand. I froze, utterly shocked. The sudden noise caught Sam's attention as he came down the stairs after his shower. Eva put on a pitiful expression. "Sam, Roma accidentally knocked over the pot. Don't blame her. She's tired today." "I'm fine." Tears rolled down her face like pearls on a broken string, and Sam's eyes filled with distress as he held her. My mind was a mess, and I hurriedly tried to explain. "I didn't burn her." Suddenly, a crisp slap rang through the air. The heavy slap landed on my face, burning with pain and shattering my already broken heart. "Roma, when did you become so cruel? You made a mistake and still refuse to admit it. Your sister-in-law isn't even holding it against you, and you won't apologize." Sam glared at me and scolded, "How did I raise someone like you? Stay home and reflect on yourself." I felt like I was trapped in an ice chamber, my body frozen as I watched him carry Eva away. She leaned weakly against him, turning back to give me a cold, mocking smile. Her words echoed in my head. I wiped the blood from the corner of my mouth and let out a bitter laugh as tears streamed down my face. I finally understood the difference between us, there was no comparison. I went upstairs, packed my bags, and burned all the clutter along with the memories of Sam and the 7 years of love I had foolishly held on to. All night, I called Sam 100 times, but he didn't pick up once. I couldn't explain or even say. I sat in the living room until dawn. They never came back, and the bitterness in my heart only deepened. I grabbed the household registration book and transferred my registration independently. Then I sent Sam a message, "Can you come home? I need to talk to you." He called back immediately, his tone cold. "Haven't you caused enough trouble for your sister-in-law already? If you try anything today, I'll get you 100 more graduate exam practice books." Hearing his anger, I decided not to explain Eva's trap. I softly replied, "I'm not here to make you angry. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for taking care of me all these years. I'm moving out today. I wish you and your wife a happy marriage. I'm going abroad, and I probably won't have many chances to see you again. If you have time, bring her back for lunch. We can meet at noon." There was silence on the other end of the call for a long time before I saw he had hung up. My chest tightened, and I lowered my head, going back inside to prepare a table full of dishes. By noon, no one had come. I checked my social media feed and saw that Sam had gone to Eva's house to discuss the wedding. I looked at the table of untouched food. Well, I guess I won't trouble you on my last day here. I ate my share, then placed the savings I had collected over the years, scholarships and competition winnings totaling 1 million yuan, on the table. It wasn't much, but the arranged marriage would provide a dowry of 10 million yuan, which should cover the cost of my upbringing. I had repaid his kindness. I sent him one last message, "I won't bother you anymore, Sam." Dragging my suitcase behind me, I walked out of the villa. Eric's luxury car was already waiting outside. He was dressed formally in a custom-made suit. I looked at him and asked, "Is today a good day to get married?" Eric was caught off guard. "In such a hurry?" "I'm in a hurry to leave for my studies abroad." His gaze darkened slightly before he let out a soft laugh. "Sure, but I'm afraid that once we're at the registry office, you'll back out." I pulled out my household registration and ID and handed them to him. "Let's go. Let's get married." Chapter 5. Eric was in a good mood the entire drive. But when we arrived at the Civil Affairs Bureau, he was stunned. Neither of us had expected that today, being Valentine's Day, the place would be packed with couples waiting to get married. Eric persistently tried to talk the staff into letting us cut in line, but they reprimanded him with a few stern words. His good mood instantly vanished. With drooping eyes and a pitiful expression, he looked like a drenched puppy. "There are too many people today." I hesitated. "Why don't we schedule it for tomorrow morning?" Eric shook his head and kept walking, determined to try again. But he accidentally bumped into someone. When I saw who it was, my face instantly tensed with nervousness and embarrassment. For a moment, I wanted to run away. Sam looked at us, surprised. "What are you doing here?" I stammered, trying to come up with a perfect excuse, but Eric beat me to it. "What about you? Are you here to get married too?" Sam ignored him and continued to stare at me, his face dark and furious. "Roma, explain this to me. What are you doing here with him? Didn't you say you didn't know Eric? Is this what you call not knowing him? You're already at the Civil Affairs Bureau." His aura was suffocating, and I couldn't help but feel scared, just like I always did when he was angry. I lowered my head like a student who had been caught misbehaving, unable to say a word. It seemed he hadn't seen the message I sent him. Eric stepped in front of me, meeting Sam's glare head-on, equally confident. "Why does Roma need to explain anything to you? Who are you to her?" Sam's face darkened even further. Just as he was about to respond, Eva chimed in. "Sam's just worried about Roma as her brother. Who knows what kind of people she's meeting out there. We're just trying to protect her." Eva's sugary voice carried judgment, making me sound like an irresponsible little sister who caused trouble and worried her brother by associating with the wrong people. To me, her words were deeply insulting. Sam remained silent, his overwhelming presence suffocating me, making me want to flee. Eric tightened his grip on my hand, pulling me closer to him as he chuckled sarcastically. "You're not married to Sam yet, right? Practicing early to be a disobedient wife? Roma's an adult. Does she not even have the freedom to choose who she can be friends with? Sam, if you're that controlling, why don't you control Eva's mouth? It's like a classic green tease." I glanced at Eric, finding him even more attractive at this moment. Eva's face immediately changed, dropping the pretense of being kind and gentle. She pointed a finger at Eric, ready to lash out. "Did I hit a nerve? You're not even married into his family yet, so don't meddle in other people's business. Don't act like no one's in charge around here and stop stirring the pot. The world would be more peaceful without you." I had always known Eric as carefree and a bit reckless, but I hadn't expected him to be so sharp-tongued. I was momentarily stunned. Eva completely lost her composure, stomping her foot in frustration. Eric, nothing good ever comes out of your mouth. She snapped before turning to me. You're just like Roma. Both of you are unworthy of being in respectable society. Sam frowned, casting a brief glance at Eva, but Eric, completely unfazed, fired back instantly. What does this have to do with Roma? I've been close friends with your brother for years. Do you think I don't know your family's secrets? You think you're something special. If you weren't constantly sucking up to Grandma, do you think you'd have gotten the chance to marry Sam? The lively atmosphere in the Civil Affairs Bureau shifted. Couples who had arrived with smiles and anticipation were now watching the unfolding drama. Sam said nothing, allowing Eric to humiliate Eva without interfering, but he kept his dark gaze locked on me, his expression as ominous as if it had been painted with a brush dipped in ink. Roma, come home with me, Sam finally spoke, but it wasn't a request, it was a command. His once elegant and refined features were twisted by anger, and the man who had always been warm and gentle to me now felt like a complete stranger. I gripped Eric's hand tighter and forced myself to stay calm. In a loud, steady voice, I said, I've already moved out of your house. I turned to look at Eric, meeting his gaze filled with warmth and encouragement, silently urging me forward. Eric is my fiancé. Grandma has already approved our marriage. We're here today to get married. Brother, you're getting married, and now I am too. We've both found our paths and fulfilled our wishes. From now on, we will go our separate ways. Chapter 6. The glimmer of hope in Sam's eyes collapsed, and he stared at me in confusion, as if he couldn't understand why I was suddenly acting this way. I had always been the obedient one, if he said one, I would never say two. But now I was holding another man's hand and telling him I had a fiancé he didn't even know. When the engagement had been arranged, his years of control over me had been challenged. After saying those words, I didn't pay attention to Sam's reaction and turned away, pulling Eric along with me. After we had taken a few steps, Sam finally reacted. He threw the documents in his hand onto the floor and roared as if giving me a final warning. Roma, you chose this path yourself. Don't regret it. I wouldn't regret it, I said. Eric was unusually quiet at that moment, so well behaved that it didn't feel like him. He let me lead him without resistance as we walked out. Once in the car, I glanced down at my hand inside. Sorry we didn't get to register today. Eric gave a carefree laugh. I didn't expect there to be so many people or to run into Sam and Eva. It must be a bad day according to the calendar. Where do you want to go now? Eric asked smoothly, steering the car with one hand. Rumor had it that Eric loved speeding, often scaring his dates to tears in the passenger seat. But judging by his calm and steady driving now, not all rumors were trustworthy. Take me home. I need to put my luggage back. I'm a bit hungry. How about we grab something to eat first? Before I could respond, Eric made a turn and took me to a private restaurant. The restaurant had a refined and elegant ambience, and in the center stood a pure white grand piano. We sat across from each other, waiting for the food. The silence between us felt heavy. Just say what's on your mind, I said, breaking the quiet. You've been holding it in since we left the Civil Affairs Bureau. Eric scratched his nose, caught off guard. It's nothing really. I just didn't want you to feel upset after seeing those two. You know, we've all loved the wrong people when we were young. Once you see the truth, you'll be fine. There's always someone better waiting ahead. His words were so full of life experience that they made me chuckle a bit. I'm fine, I said softly. He's not a bad person. He just didn't love me. I'm sorry for dragging you into this today. I'm your fiancé. That's what I'm here for. Eric propped his chin on his hand and looked at me intently, as if I were a muse inspiring an artist. I turned my head slightly and met his gaze. In the sincerity of his eyes, I saw a reflection of myself. Eric stood and extended his hand toward me. Would you do me the honor of playing a piano duet with me? I placed my hand in his, and together we sat in front of the piano. Liszt's Dream of Love filled the air, and everyone around turned their heads to watch us. I thought back to the day of my graduation ceremony. I had played this very piece in front of the entire school, and it had been my most flawless performance. But when I bowed and left the stage, Sam was no longer in the audience. When the music ended, Eric leaned toward me and whispered, "No time is ever truly wasted. Don't blame your past self." I looked at him, and he couldn't hold back his laughter. His previously serious expression melted into warmth. He laughed, and I couldn't help but join him. Then he turned his head away, but not before I noticed the faint blush on his ears. On the way back, Eric was in an even better mood than when we had first left for the Civil Affairs Bureau. But just as I was about to get out of the car, he said, "I know you have feelings for him. I also know that marrying me wasn't really your choice. We haven't registered yet, so you still have options. I think it would be better if we waited until we've become better versions of ourselves, seen more of the world, met more people, and experienced life. Then, if we still believe that we're the best choice for each other, we can get married. I'll still give you the dowry. And if after your studies and success you no longer want to marry me, you can return the money. How about that? I stared at him in surprise. Beneath his playful and carefree exterior, I hadn't expected him to be so thoughtful. My feelings toward him suddenly became more complicated. If you agree, I'd be grateful, he added. His charming eyes softened as his usual liveliness dimmed slightly. The car blended smoothly into traffic, stopping briefly at a red light. Either way, it's fine with me, he said quietly. Instead of taking me to his home, Eric dropped me off at one of his properties before leaving. As I was pulling my suitcase inside, my phone rang. It was Sam's grandmother. Roma, her voice sounded much more serious than usual, without its typical liveliness. Sam's gone, she said. My eyelid twitched. Gone? What do you mean? Sam was supposed to go finalize his engagement today, but something happened. Eva came back alone, saying Sam left her halfway through and walked off. No one's been able to contact him since. The engagement isn't finalized, and we have no idea where he's gone. Can you try to reach him? Before Sam's grandmother could finish speaking, I felt someone approach from behind. The next second, my phone was snatched out of my hand, and the call abruptly ended. As I was pressed against the wall, I gasped, ready to scream, but a warm hand covered my mouth, muffling my fear. My eyes widened as I stared at Sam, who was standing so close that I could see the fine details of his skin, his long lashes, his warmth, and the shallow rhythm of his breath. With all my strength, I shoved him away. Sam, clearly drunk, stumbled back and leaned against the wall in defeat. I furiously wiped my lips, tears threatening to gather in my eyes. I had never felt so wronged before. Sam, how did you know I was here? I demanded. I put a tracker on your phone, he mumbled. I knew you went to dinner with Eric and played the piano with him. That song you played, it was the same one you played at your graduation ceremony. You played it for me, didn't you? So he had known everything. He had just been pretending otherwise. Seeing that I wasn't responding, Sam's head drooped, his whole demeanor filled with defeat. Roma, I know everything. I figured it out, he muttered. You're marrying Eric because Grandma arranged it for you. So what? Sam suddenly lifted his head and pulled me into his arms, holding me so tightly I couldn't move. I know everything, which is why you can't marry Eric. He's not a good man. Roma, marry me instead. I'll handle Grandma and everything else. All you need to do is be my bride. I broke free from his grip, grabbed the water bottle from my bag, and poured half of it over his head. His drunken haze dissipated, and he looked at me in disbelief, water dripping from his hair. Roma, are you sober now? Do you even know what you're saying? You want to marry me? Can Grandma accept that? What about the collaboration with Eva's family? How do you think I'd even show my face in society after this? You're drunk and acting on impulse. Have you even thought about the consequences of what you're saying? Sam hadn't expected me to resist him, let alone scold him. I had always been his obedient little sister, the girl he had taken in and raised. He lunged forward again and kissed me, but I turned my face away. His lips landed on my cheek, and then his teeth sank into my skin like a wolf punishing a disloyal pack member. The pain made me slap him across the face. You've completely lost it. I shouted. Sam touched the spot where I had slapped him and laughed. I'm not crazy. I realized how much I love you the moment I found out you were marrying Eric. Roma, I want to marry you. I can fix all of this. He spoke quickly, afraid I would interrupt him. I only pushed you away before because I thought you were too young. There's an age gap between us. I was the one who decided to take you in. We're like siblings. How could siblings be together? It's not acceptable. That's why I kept avoiding you. I was afraid of falling for you. But now I regret it. We're not related by blood. Why shouldn't we be together? We love each other, so we should get married. Sam was spiraling, his gaze filled with obsession. I won't watch you ruin yourself by marrying Eric. I'll take you away from him. He staggered, dropping to one knee and pulling out a ring box. His eyes were filled with desperate hope as he looked up at me. Seeing him like this, the once untouchable man now reduced to begging, I felt a bitter sense of irony. Who would have thought that the high and mighty Sam, the king of the capital's elite circle, would one day humbly propose to the very girl he once avoided like the plague? Sam, why do you think I would still be standing here waiting for you? Why do you think I still love you? You say Eric isn't a good man, but how good are you? He respects me, makes an effort for me, and stands up for me. That's enough. Unlike you, who only watches from the sidelines and does what you think is right for me without ever asking me what I want. Love isn't a requirement for marriage, but with Eric, I believe love will come in time. Sam's body slowly slid down the wall until he was sitting on the floor. He reached out a hand toward me, his gaze pleading. He didn't want to believe my words, but deep down, he knew they were true. For the first time in his life, Sam was experiencing failure. The moment you decided to cut ties with me, we became impossible, I said firmly. But Sam was still unwilling to give up. That's because I didn't understand my own feelings. I didn't know how much I loved you. The moon can't reflect your heart, came Eric's voice from behind him, carrying a hint of playful mockery. How can a grown man not even understand his own heart? Eric stepped forward and pulled me behind him, looking down at Sam with pity in his eyes. Sam, the fact that Roma wasn't your first choice shows that you already weighed the pros and cons and made your decision. This whole, I didn't realize I loved you act is just you covering up your indecisiveness and selfishness. Now that you see your plan didn't work, you're making another choice again. Chapter 8. Every time Eric argued, his charm seemed to peak. I glanced at him, then followed his gaze towards Sam, whose brow was tightly furrowed. What are you doing back here? I asked. I saw Sam's car from the window. I couldn't rest easy, so I came to check on you. Seeing our natural interaction, which carried a hint of intimacy, the light in Sam's eyes dimmed bit by bit until it was completely extinguished, leaving only defeat. Eric delivered the final blow. If you have no other business, please leave. My fiancé needs to rest. Sam's eyes were filled with despair as he stared at us blankly, then stood and staggered toward the door, even tripping on his way out. The next time he found me was a month later. I was getting ready to leave for my studies abroad. Eric was lounging on my couch with his cat in his arms, watching TV when the doorbell rang urgently. When I opened the door, Sam looked unhinged. The moment he saw me, he shoved his ID card into my hands. Roma, let's get married. I broke off the engagement. Nothing is standing in our way anymore. Eric pulled me into his arms, shielding me and pushing Sam back slightly. Why are you still harassing my fiancé? Eric's voice was firm and protective. Just as the words left his mouth, a woman's figure charged toward us. Before I could react, Eric had already pulled me tightly into his embrace. Gone was his usual composure, his face was pale, and he was breathing heavily. I felt something warm on his back. When I touched it, my hand came away stained with blood. Sam had already tackled the woman to the ground. Only then did I realize it was Eva. Her face was twisted in madness as she laughed hysterically, screaming at me, Roma, I'm going to kill you. Why? Why am I nothing to Sam? Why has he never seen me? He broke off the engagement, and now I'm a laughingstock in the entire capital. As long as you're alive, I'll never have Sam's heart. I had no interest in their childish debate over who loved Sam more. Sam restrained the frenzied diva and demanded, how did you know where Roma was? Eva cackled. Sam, did you think you were the only one who could plant a tracker? As long as I find you, I'll find that Roma. I'll kill her, and then you'll be mine alone. These two were both insane. I quickly called an ambulance and rushed Eric to the hospital. Before leaving, I looked back at Sam. He was crouched on the floor, holding Eva down. For the first time, I looked down at him from this angle. His eyes were filled with regret, inner conflict, and the crushing weight of failure. He already knew how this was going to end. Sam, I said softly. Eva is guilty of intentional harm. I will report this to the police. I hope you won't protect a criminal. Sam's lips twitched as if he wanted to say something, but in the end, all he did was sigh. Don't worry. I'll make sure she's locked up, he whispered. Eric's wound wasn't life-threatening, but it wasn't minor either. Eva had stabbed him with all her strength, and the knife had gone deep into his back. Sam kept his promise. He called the police and had Eva taken away. Neither his grandmother nor Eva's family could convince him to back down, no matter how much they begged. The engagement between the two families was officially called off. Chapter 9. After that, Sam almost completely disappeared from my life. I was too busy. That night at the private restaurant, the video of Eric and me playing the piano went viral online. In the video, we sat side by side, and the notes flowed effortlessly from our fingertips, intertwining into a soft melody that touched the hearts of everyone who listened. Netizens were enchanted by our rendition of Dream of Love and thought Eric and I made a perfect match. Once our identities were revealed, they gave us a ship name and created several fan accounts dedicated to us. Because of this exposure, talent scouts began to notice me. When I went abroad to study, I balanced my studies while entering the entertainment industry as a singer. I debuted at the top, and my career skyrocketed. Every time I released a song, it went viral almost instantly. Soon, people of all ages were humming my tunes. Within 3 years, I won major awards and became the youngest pop diva in history. No one referred to me as the orphan Sam adopted anymore. To the world, I was simply Roma, the pop queen. Sam's name faded from my life. Other than the annual visits to see his grandmother, I barely saw him. In the end, Eric and I never officially registered our marriage. These years had been busy for him too. Eric's family, like mine once was a tangled mess. His carefree playboy persona had been a facade to protect himself, a way to lay low until he could strike. In recent years, chaos broke out within his family, and Eric returned home to fight for his inheritance. Before leaving, he clung to me, whining about how I needed to remember to think of him. No matter how busy he was, he always made time to attend my performances. Every time I stepped off stage, he was the first person I saw. Fans online were constantly urging us to get married. Some bloggers even changed their usernames to things like "Did Eric and Roma get married today?" After a fierce internal family battle, Eric emerged victorious, becoming the new head of his family. Under his leadership, the family business thrived and even began overshadowing Sam's family empire. Whenever Eric negotiated a business deal, he made a point of targeting Sam's projects, always aiming to beat him. I did see Sam once. It was at a social gathering, and I was there with Eric. Sam had a female secretary by his side. When he saw me, he was chatting with others about business. I walked past him, gave him a polite and distant nod, and smiled briefly before continuing on my way. When my contract with my former agency ended, Eric quickly acquired a talent management company and signed me as its only artist. With hard work, I rose to the top tier of the entertainment industry, winning countless awards. But there was still one prestigious award I hadn't won yet. In my 5th year as a singer, I won a Grammy. When the host called my name, I was filled with shock. I took a deep breath to calm myself and made my way up the steps. With every step, I noticed Juliet roses scattered along the path leading me toward the stage. When I stood on the stage, the flowers around me bloomed into a sea of roses. Eric, dressed in a sharp suit, emerged gracefully from the floral display. His warm, charming eyes locked on me as he held a vibrant bouquet of Juliet roses and knelt down on one knee, pulling out a ring. "I took your advice," he said softly. "I spent these past few years traveling with you, seeing the world, meeting new people. I've been at the top, surrounded by luxury and fame. And through it all, I realized with certainty you are the best choice of my life. Ever since I met you, every moment of my life has been filled with happiness. Roma, am I the best choice for you too?" I looked at him, and we both became teary fools. With the award and bouquet in my left hand, I extended my right hand to him. "Eric, let's solve the challenges of the future together." The room exploded with applause. Eric stood and hugged me tightly, crying openly, shedding his usual businesslike demeanor. News of Eric's proposal spread online like wildfire. Fans of our ship name declared it a holiday, and creative fan edits flooded every platform. As I lay on the couch watching Eric book our marriage registration appointment, I thought back to the last time we tried to get married. I gently nudged him. "It's Valentine's Day again. Are you sure we'll get the certificate this time?" Eric grabbed my foot, pretending to lower his head to kiss it, but I quickly pulled it away and glared at him. He laughed, took my hand, and kissed it instead. "Don't worry, my love. This time, we'll definitely get it."